Hello and welcome back to another episode of Transport Fever 2. We're here in Brookshire County at our Roswell Lake, and in this video we're going to finish up this project by adding a lot more detail, a lot of houses, parks, roads, etc. to get this area functioning. And so now that we're in the year 1925, our roads are updating to be asphalt roads instead of these old brick and stone roads that we currently have everywhere. And so I figured this would be a great opportunity to overhaul how our roads look. And so we've gone ahead and installed some road mods so we can get some more realistic roads through here. Now this is a little bit more challenging to navigate, but for instance we can take a look at this road here. We can upgrade this and get a much more realistic looking road, or we can switch it to something that looks more like this. So we have a lot more options when it comes to our road building and making things fit into the scenes that we're creating. And now, as much as I'd like to just easily upgrade every single road in this map right now, we're going to take this one area at a time as we continue to build. So we'll upgrade the road heading up to the lake, as that will be our main focus in this video. And then maybe if we have some time at the end, we can start to design some of the roads coming through Roswell and make those look a lot nicer and more realistic. I do like the look of some of these brick and stone roads, so we'll probably keep a good portion of these for now until we get later on into maybe like the 50s and 60s, when a lot of these would probably end up being replaced. But that's something that we'll tackle as we get closer. And so I think to start off, we will upgrade this road all the way up to the lake to be this road here. I think this one will look quite nice. Again, I'm not too familiar with all of these options that we have, so some of this stuff might change as we find better roads to use in particular areas, but we'll go through and upgrade them all to this road, and then we'll be back once we're ready to pay more attention up at the lake. Alright, so the first thing I want to do is actually get this waterfall going. I did find some things that will hopefully make it easier to make a waterfall that at least looks normal from a distance. Now, of course, there's nothing really that animates a waterfall, so it is going to look a little static, but we can do our best to give it some more life and feel. So we'll get that in, and then hopefully once that waterfall's done, we will actually be ready to focus our attention entirely up here on the lake and the dam. Alright, now I think our waterfall area is done, and I think it works pretty well. We added some rocks to sort of soften the edge of the water paint that we had to use, and I think it kind of works. I'm not too sure how I feel, but I think it works for what it is. So let me know what you guys think of it, if there's ways to improve it. We used some smoke generators down here to sort of simulate steam or water spray from the waterfall coming down. I think that works pretty well. We could probably go a little bit more with it, but I think this is probably good enough for what it is. So now I think we're going to move on to doing a little parking lot area for the dam here, connecting a road down to it, and then once we're done with that, we'll focus on the roads around the lake. Alright, so now our little dam facility is all done up and looks pretty nice in my opinion. So now we're finally done and ready to just handle things related directly to this lake. So we'll get some roads going. I think this side's going to be more of a built-up touristy side, so it'll have parks, it'll have a lot nicer buildings, it'll have paved roads, and then this side will be all sort of like cabins and older buildings. So this will have like dirt roads, individual cabins. They'll probably have individual docks on each one, and they'll be a lot more spread out over on this side of the lake. And so let's start off over on this side. We'll get rid of this building for now, as we'll probably come through and replace some of those nice person magnets. I think I have a solution to the problem that we were having, so we'll get to that later, since it does involve a few other things to be built up before then. But for now, let's just tackle these roads. And so we'll come back to having a road like this, and this will just follow the sort of base of this hill here, and we'll come through and we'll adjust the terrain to make it fit a lot better once we sort of have an idea of what we're doing. So I think what we want to do is just follow this around like so. Some areas we are going to have to continue terraforming, so we'll want to carve out an area here to allow the road to get by. And so here's what our final road layout on this side is going to look like. So we have this area here, which will probably be largely like an administrative entry area for the nicer side of the lake. So there'll probably be like a gate, an administration building. We might have some other facilities up here, stuff that aren't like houses. And then on this road that sort of travels back in this way, we can have sort of individual houses dotted along the lakeside here. And then back here is sort of where this community would reside. So there'd probably be parks back here. And then over here could be more buildings or maybe some more parks and facilities. We'll figure that out once we get into the detailing. But I think we'll get a road going on this side. And then once we have that done, we can then start to put up our buildings. Alright, and so the last thing that I want to do road-wise is I think we will end up making this connection up here and through the mountain to this road, just because I think this is too much to have this road come all the way up and around. I don't think anyone will ever use this route unless we artificially created demand out this way, or sometime soon we could connect up to Pittsburgh and this road would get used to get up to the lake. But I think the most realistic option would just be to have this road come up through here and then cut through the mountain, and then it'll just meet up on this road here. So I think we'll go with that. It'll help draw people up from Roswell once we get our people magnets down. This area just makes sense to connect to. So we'll go with that. And then that should be the last little bit before we get into full-on detailing mode here. Alright, now with this connection made, we cut through the mountain here. We tried to get it at the skinniest portion, but then we come out on this side, and then we wind our way down this road here by the mountainside, and then we connect up back to this main road coming into Roswell. And so, with that connection made, I think now we can finally get into the large portion of this video, adding detail to all these roads, getting it functional and ready for use. Alright, and we're going to take a little break here quick just to go over this side of the lake so far. So here we have our sort of main tourist area for the lake. So we have a pool for people who don't like swimming in the lake, as well as a building here which would probably serve the pool, some parking. We have some tennis courts here, and we do have space to expand this if we wanted to. I'm not sure what else we would add here at the moment, but we do have some space, and I think I'll leave it like that. We might come through and maybe we'll just brush in some trees just to help with this look a little bit. And this will just help define the edges a tiny bit, help separate it slightly from everything else going on. And then moving on farther down the road, we have some individual buildings here across on the lake. And then moving down, we have more bunches of houses. And then we have a little beach area here where people can come park and then have sort of nice public access to the beach. And then back here is where sort of our neighborhood area is. It has tennis courts. I'm not sure why the floor of the tennis courts are kind of being weird. Hopefully it's not too annoying, but I think this area came together quite nicely. And then I think we'll leave this area as sort of like future development. We can come back and we can make this a lot nicer. Maybe this ends up being a restaurant or two all the way out here. It might be quite nice, just sort of on the lake, but we'll leave this. I think this is nice for this area. And then now we have this side here with the dirt trails. This side should hopefully go a little quicker since it won't be quite as nice as the houses over here, so we'll have a little bit less attention to detail for it, but we'll still do our best to make this look as good as possible. But anyway, let's get into getting houses in on this side. Alright, now we have this side of the lake finished, and we're going to leave it as it is now. There's still a lot left to be done, but I think we're in a good enough spot that it will work and function like this for now. So I'm pretty happy to leave it off like this. Now the last thing that we want to do is start placing down these people magnets so we can actually start getting some cars coming up and in this area. Let's see. We do have some people coming up because of the one we have placed right here by the water. You can see we have about a demand of 3, and that's with this capacity set to 50. I think I'm okay with that. Maybe we bump this up to 80 since this would be sort of the main area. And then we could maybe even change it. So I think we'll actually change this to commercial, since I did read into it a little bit on how these work. So I believe the way it works is there's residential, commercial, and industrial. And so people spawn from residential, and then they seek to go to either a commercial space or an industrial space. So we want to use residential for places that we would see as sort of homes, and then commercial and industry for other areas. So for instance, we'll use this as a commercial area up here with a capacity of 100. And I think down here, this dam, this would be pretty good to use as a industrial magnet. So we'll come down here, grab this, we'll select industrial, and then now unfortunately what we have to do for almost all of these is if we want to see cars driving around, they have to be attached by a road. So we'll have to do our best to hide these as good as we can, but maybe we can get this. I think we could probably place something on the end of the road here. So let's look through and see if we can find something that doesn't look too terrible just being at the end of the road. And so I think this one will work just fine. It's just a rock, and I think that looks okay. It doesn't look too out of place, and from a distance you can hardly even tell it's there. So we'll do that. Industrial capacity will raise up to 60. We won't do too much. And then the last thing we'll need to do is place around some of our residential magnets. Now these are going to be especially tricky to hide since we did already connect a lot of these buildings to the buildings, or we painted driveways to the buildings. So it's going to be a little tough to do this, but we might be able to actually disguise this as more of a park. Although this doesn't seem to look too great either. Alright, and so I think we found probably the most realistic solution that we could have to this. We can use a whole bunch of invisible stuff, and then we can make it look like on some of these houses that the road curves straight into the houses. We have these set really low since we'll probably end up placing a few of these around just to sort of sell the look of them. And so we'll place a few of them down around like this. The tricky thing is doing it in a way that doesn't look too out of place, but I think if we just do it on strictly the outer buildings around here, it wouldn't look too bad. And then we'll skip the ones where it's sort of obvious that it wouldn't work. I think maybe that's okay, and then on this side we'll do something similar. And so hopefully that will work out. We will see cars spawn from these, I believe. So actually we had these all set to industrial, so let me go through and set these all to residential, and then we'll come back once that's finished. Alright, so now all of them should be set to residential now. We have a few cars actually leaving from here, so you can start to see them spawning and coming in and out. So this will start to generate a little bit of traffic. Hopefully it's not too much traffic. I suppose what we could always do is set some of these to 0, just so it's not an overwhelming amount of cars coming up and in this area. And so I think now we have a reasonable amount. Maybe we can fit one of these inside of some of these buildings. So let's see if we can get one placed here. Maybe we'll get another one placed over on this end. I guess here doesn't look too bad. And so then we'll start to see cars having different areas that they are willing to go to. We can get a commercial one placed right here by this park. So then we'll start to see people hopefully even walking around this community. We'll bring this up to maybe just 40 capacity. Have that placed right there. And then I think that's good enough for our people magnet over on this side. And I think what we'll actually do is we'll split this. We'll bring that down to 40. And we'll do the same thing. I think this invisible one works really well, especially with bringing people into some of these just random assets. So like the tennis courts, I think this works very nice with that. And so now we have both this and this have some commercial demand to them, so we should start to see people coming in and using these roads. And then now out on this way, these will be a lot easier to hide since the dirt roads don't make crosswalks. It will still be challenging, however, to do it in the right spots. We'll do 10. We'll get it here at this intersection, and that pretty much just disappears with that house. We'll get another one right along the road in here. Get one more all the way over here. And then I think maybe we'll just get one on one of these roads as well. Alright, we're starting to see some cars pop up here. We can take a look at our demand now and start to see that we are generating people over here, and they're most likely coming over to this area. As the way the game functions, it sees this area, the commercial areas, as places to go. And I believe industry is for jobs. So they view this dam as their job, and then these places, since they're commercial areas, are their places to spend money. And so we can see we're generating a little bit of demand from Roswell up here. I don't think that number's too high yet. And the good thing about using these people magnets is that we can always adjust things if we feel there's too many or too few cars going between these places. I think I'm comfortable with how high the industry is set here and the demand that this road is getting. And then, although this intersection looks a little bit busy, I think it might actually clear up a little bit since we did just place all these down. All the cars that are sort of routed to these areas are currently going there right now. And then one last thing, which I actually didn't place. I think it'd be fun to just sort of have this little fishing spot here be a tiny commercial area as they see it. So we might occasionally get to see a car drive all the way out here for this sort of secret fishing spot. And so there's a lot more that I want to do in this area. There's a whole bunch more world building stuff that I think we can do. I think here We could maybe turn this into a nice restaurant, commercial area, almost like a town to sort of serve both sides of the lake. Even maybe having it start to climb up this way. We can have some commercial buildings dotting this road, some parking lots, some convenience stores, maybe even larger apartments coming up and along here. But because of how the game works, that would all have to be manually placed by me. So that's going to be another project for a much later time. And I think now we can finally get back into looking at the resources on the map and growing some of the pre-made cities across the map. And so now let's go and take a look at everything we've done in this video, and then when we come back, we'll talk about things that we can start to get back into, some of the projects that we sort of left off that were on our list that we never got to before this project, and then we'll end the video off there. Alright, and now that we're back, let's go around the map and take a look at the overall state of things, where we're at, make sure nothing's going too crazy, and then we'll talk about some of the future projects that we can start to work on. And so taking a look around the map at our cities, it looks like we're starting to max out some of our stations. So that'll be something we'll need to look at and take closer care of. So we'll probably need to come through and upgrade a lot of our train stations. It looks like Tacoma's doing fine, but some of our smaller cities are maybe starting to suffer a little bit. Houston is continuing to grow into the blocks that we've made for it. And so I don't think we need to expand anytime soon, but I think we might want to take a look at our cargo hub on this side and maybe balance some things out, as it looks like some resources are starting to pile up at different stations. And then I think our next priority is going to be getting a goods factory set up in this area. Now that we have some of these roads that we've placed for this lake, we can actually start to maybe get an idea of the infrastructure that we would have here. So I kind of like the idea of having the oil refinery along this road. That feels like something that you might see out in the middle of nowhere on a country road. And then we have all of our other resources set up already. So I think when we do this, we'll set everything up, and then in terms of detailing, since it'll be 10 to 15 industries that we've placed that we'll probably have to detail, we'll slowly tackle those one at a time over the next couple of videos. But I think it's crucial that we get a goods factory set up at least somewhere on the map, just so we have that resource available. If we ever wanted to grow a resource, or grow a city, we can move that resource across the map, as long as we have one of them. And then another thing I want to maybe start thinking about is airports. Now, we are still in 1927, and our planes aren't too big yet, but I think it would make sense to probably have at least 1 or 2 airports on the map. So maybe we could place one here that would serve Roswell and Lincoln, and then we could maybe try to fit one all the way across the map over here by Houston, or maybe even Salt Lake City. Maybe this flat area can become an airport, and that can serve all 3 of these cities. But just because of the way that planes work, I don't think we would ever get more than 2 or 3 airports on this map. But I think maybe having a few situated closer to the edges could make a lot of sense, especially even once we get high-speed rail. We would be competing speed-wise between a lot of our cities. And so with that, that's going to be all for this video. So if you enjoyed this episode, please like and subscribe. If you have any suggestions or feedback, leave a comment below. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.